Hello there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another Valentine's Day inspired tutorial. I saw a picture somebody had posted in one of their videos of this super soft look, and it was using red eyeshadow. And I thought, oh my goodness, I felt so inspired. So I decided to go through my palettes, and sure enough, I found this red eyeshadow in the Love palette by Natasha Denona. Thought that was appropriate. And so I really wanted to challenge myself to create a wearable look using red eyeshadow, red cheek color, and a red lip. So let's see if we can do that. To start off the look, I'm going to use the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof Eye Base in Light. And this is going to be a very important step. If you don't have a tinted eyeshadow base, just add a little bit of concealer after you apply your eyeshadow primer, because we want as much of an even canvas here as possible. Now, this one doesn't completely cancel everything out, but it gives a good start to concealing the veins on the eyelid. Since this is going to be a super soft eye look, I'm going to go ahead and go in with concealer and foundation first. Many times I do my eyes first, but today I'm going to use the Estee Lauder Double Wear Instant Fix Concealer and the Clinique Even Better Concealer. So I'm starting off with this, and I haven't used this in quite some time, but as some of you will find out, I've not been getting a lot of sleep lately, so my dark circles have been serious. So I have been trying different combinations of concealers and definitely need a good amount of concealer for this look. So this just has a two-part system, but I'm going to add a third part. So just tapping that kind of hydrating step in. And then I'm going to go in with this Clinique Even Better Concealer, which is way too dark, but I'm using this to kind of cancel out a little bit of the purple blue tones, which are pretty intense. This is the shade WN76. I do like the texture of this concealer, and maybe when there is a sale, I might pick this up in a more correct shade and give it a try on its own. Okay, I'm going to let that sit and go to the face, and I've decided for today I want a little fuller coverage and more of a matte finish or a natural matte finish. And one of my top favorite full coverage foundations is the Bare Minerals Bare Pro. I have the shade Golden Nude 13. I think that's going to work for me. We'll give it a try. I'm going to start off by just applying a little bit to the face, and I'm going to start, I don't think I've ever used this brush before. This is the Eco Tools 360 brush. I don't think I've ever used it with this foundation. I do love this brush with more fluid foundations, so let's just give it a shot here. All right, so that blended in pretty well. I'm going to go back now with a BK, I think it's BK or BK sponge from Amazon, and I have some more product. I did 2 pumps on my little palette here, so I'm still working from that. And I'm just going to go back to the center of the face where I have a little more surface redness. So the first key when wearing any sort of red makeup, whether it be just a red lip color or in this case, red lips, eyes, and cheeks, you want to make sure you really cancel out any other surface redness on the face, because the red is going to bring those colors out. That's why I'm doing a little fuller coverage and just making sure I really have some good coverage on those red areas. And yes, my skin is looking nice and blank, which is what we need, except under the eyes. So now I'm going to go back with the second step of concealer, and this shade that I have is really light. This is 1W Light. So paired with that darker concealer underneath, it kind of works, but you can see how pale that is. This is a super thin consistency, but it is very good coverage. So I need to play with it some more. I remember liking it, but it's been a while. Just adding a little extra brightness here in a couple spots in the center of the face. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a bit before I set everything in place. We're gonna go back to the eyes. I forgot to mention I'm prepping my lips with the Buxom lip cream in White Russian. So just getting some good moisture going because the lip options I have are a little more on the matte side. So I wanna make sure I've got good hydration there. All right, going back to the eyes, I am going to start off with a full layer of this shade. It's just a cream color. It's not a cream product, but cream color. This is Aya from Natasha Denona. So any color that is close to your skin tone will work. And I'm using the E50 from Sigma and just placing this all over the lid from lash line all the way up to brow bone and putting a couple of layers because this is going to help further conceal any of the veins on my lid, and it's also going to make our red shadow easier to blend. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am going in with this shade right here from the Natasha Denona Love Palette. Now she's recently come out with the Mini Love Palette, so this was last year's release, and the shade is called Heart. And I love red, and I'm not really that intimidated by red shadow in small quantities, but I've never done a full red eye look, but we're going to do that today. So go through your collection. You might be surprised. Even something like this, if you don't want to do all out red, you could go more in a burgundy color family, or something with a little more pink would be fine. But I'm going to start off with the Morphe M504. So a very fluffy brush, and I'm just pressing that into the shadow, and then I'm going to tap off. These shadows aren't very powdery, but because we've done our base, we really don't want a bunch to fall down. All right, so with the lightest pressure possible, so you can see I'm holding the brush way down towards the end of the brush. I am just lightly blending this, and you want, wherever you place your brush first, that is where the majority of the product is going to go. So just placing that in the outer corner, and I'm not going all the way to the lash line here. I'm just staying above it slightly and really lightly blending, blending, blending. And then I'm going to wipe off my brush on a tissue and just go back and further blend, blend, blend. Okay, so we have that wash there. And then I'm going to go down to a slightly smaller brush. This is the M433. No, this is the Sigma E25. Very similar brushes. And I'm now going to put a little bit of that on the tip of the brush. And I'm just flicking this inward a little bit. I'm not bringing this fully all the way through the crease. Just a little wash of it here. So the key also now for the eyes is you want it to look intentional. You don't want it to look like your eyes are just irritated. So if we fluff this all over the lid, it could look like the whole eye area is just inflamed. We don't want that. All right, so that's why I'm going to add just a little bit of gentle shading here in the outer corner. And then with what's left on the brush, just, really lightly. I'm barely touching my skin. Just really lightly making sure that's nice and blended. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back with the first shade we used all over the lid and our E50, I should say. And I'm just going to pack a little bit more there on the front part of the lid. So there's just this subtle wash, little kind of a hazy red look right here above the crease. I'll just take that brush and just touch up along the brow bone again. Now, what's super important with red eyeshadow in particular, but also something like bright pink, is to make sure that you line the lash line with a solid liner. So it kind of acts as like a barrier with that color and your eyes, so that again, we don't bring out any redness or irritation in our eyes. So I'm gonna try a technique using a pencil and a tiny little brush. This is the BK Beauty 208 brush and the Pixie Endless Silky Eye Pen, but it's a pencil, in Black Noir. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually just kind of crush, sounds terrible, but I'm crushing the tip of that pencil off on my little palette here. I'm gonna kind of create a gel liner with it. Now, if you have a black gel liner, go ahead and use that. I do have one, but I know many of you probably don't have one on hand. So just gonna give you another option. All right, so I am dipping that brush in the liner, and the liner is super creamy. So if you have a drier liner, this might not work well, but the Pixie ones work super well. You want a tiny thin brush, and if it's comfortable for you, you could go underneath the lash line here and line your tight line. I'm going to show you on top of lashes today because I know a lot of you are uncomfortable doing tight lining. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down my lashes, and I'm just going to place that brush right into the roots of my lash line. And you'll have to go in a few times, but I'm just going to just place little dots, and it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line because this isn't meant to look like liner. It's more meant to just look like we have a really thick base of lashes. This can also even kind of give the illusion that you are wearing maybe some false lashes. So your lash line will be super thick and black. But again, it's going to be a subtle little barrier between that red shadow and our eyes. And then I'm just bringing it slightly up and to a tiny little point right there, but I'm not winging this out at all. And then I'm going to go ahead and take that all the way into where my lashes stop. And then I'm going to take just a spoolie and just use this to make sure that I don't have any clumps or any product gathering in my lashes, which will help prevent them from sticking together before we get our mascara on. We don't want that. All right, there we go. Okay, so you can see it's so subtle, but it's just giving a little bit of barrier between that red there. And then you can go back and deepen it up if you feel like you need to. And I'm going to just darken next to the lashes a little more. Now, after applying that black liner, I feel like I could use a little more shadow. So I'm going to go back to the E25 from Sigma and just add a tiny bit more here. And I'm really just almost patting it in. So again, I don't want this to get out of control too quickly. The red shadow can definitely do that. All right, so I've been testing out a few different things. So you want to line your inner rim with a color. You could do white or kind of a cream color if you want to. I'm choosing black today, but trying not to do too thick of a line. So what I'm doing is first just really just softly adding a bit of this pencil to the waterline, really mostly staying into the roots of the lashes, and then going in with the Morphe M432 and pressing that into the lashes, trying not to get too much smudged below the lash line. But I am going all the way across. And then once I get it kind of placed in there, I'm going to go back with a Q-tip and I'm going to clean off a good amount of that. So we're left with just a thin line here on the lower lash line. All right, let's go ahead and work on the face and then we'll finish up our eyes. So I'm going to just tap out any creasing that has happened in my concealer here. And I feel like I need to add just a tiny little bit more here. And I'll just press out any of my lines or anywhere where I feel like that foundation may have settled a little bit. And then add some powder. I'm gonna start off with the Peach Perfect Mattifying Loose Powder, and I'm going to use my Sigma F30 today. To set the under eye, I'm going to go in with the By Terry Hyaluronic Acid Powder in the shade Fair, I think it is, 100 Fair. I'm still testing this one out. I'm trying to see what I think about it. So I've not tried it with this concealer combination or applying it with a sponge. So I'm trying new things today. All right, we're going to warm up the face a little bit using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And I'll use the BK Beauty 103 brush. And I'm not going to go in with too heavy of a hand. You can see just adding a little bit of color here and gentle shaping. This is going to be very, almost no contoured look. So I'm adding a little bit of contour just by adding this around the hairline, but I'm not going to do anything too structured. I will add a little bit of this down the sides of my nose. And while I have this out, I'm going to clean off my M504 brush really well. And I'm just going to tap lightly in here. And now I'm going to just bring this right along the edge of that red shadow. So that red shadow was looking a little more pink on me. And by bringing a little bit of this bronzer shade just on the top of it, it's kind of minimizing the pink kind of gradation there. So you could leave the pink if you have pink undertones to your skin. That might be a little more flattering and a little more natural looking, but I'm just going to do this slightly, and this is going to help bring our cheeks and our eyes together. All right, and then one more step while we have this out is I'm going to take my M432, clean it off really well, and I'm going to just work a little bit of this along the lower lash line, and then go back to our red shadow and tap a little bit of that right over that, and then connect it there on the outer edge. So it's giving just a subtle bit of shadow under the lash line, so the black liner doesn't look quite as harsh, and it's tying together that red shade a little bit without being really strong red on the lower lash line. Now for the fun part, for our blush, we are using the same eyeshadow. I showed this in a recent video of another way to use those crazy eyeshadow colors as blush. So one thing you definitely need is a smaller, I like to use a duo fiber brush. This is the Sigma Small Duo Fiber F55. And I'm just going to tap it lightly in there. If you're not sure how pigmented it is. You can tap it off on the back of your hands and then just lightly swirl it onto the cheeks. Isn't that a pretty blush color? Oh my goodness. Now what I'm going to do is take the edge of that brush and kind of just connect it just real lightly with the outer edge of our eyeshadow there. And then I'll go back with my bronzer brush and just really lightly just kind of brush over that. For face highlighter and inner corner highlight, I'm using the Laura Mercier Matte Radiant Baked Powder Highlight 01. I'm gonna get through this deluxe sample. I am determined, but in keeping with kind of a little more of a matte look, not necessarily without, I mean, this obviously gives your skin a little bit of a satin glow, but trying to stay away from too much sparkle on the face. And then I'll place some of that on the inner corner. And again, another important thing is to brighten up that inner corner so that it doesn't look like you're tired, because red and pink shadows can make you look like you didn't get enough sleep last night. And even if you didn't, we can fake it to make it look like you did. I'm just going to quickly fill in my brows. I won't bore you with this. I will fast forward through this. I do have a brow video coming, but I'm going to use the Milani Precision Brow Pencil in 120 Caramel. And then I'll add a tiny little bit of the Thrive Cosmetics Instant Brow Fix in Audrey. All right, now we really need some mascara, and I'm excited to try a new one. This is the Lancome Lash Idole Mascara. Now, I picked up a deluxe sample size for free from Sephora in one of my orders. So I thought, hey, this is the perfect way to try it out. I've been hearing amazing things, and supposedly you're not supposed to have to curl your lashes or anything. So we are going to let this mascara speak for itself. No curling of the lashes, no primer, although I think it would probably be better with primer, but we're going to try it without today. And I'm just going to coat the brush. Ooh, I haven't even looked at the brush. Here's what the brush looks like. It's really interesting. There really aren't any bristles on this part of the brush. It is a plastic type bristle brush, which usually isn't my favorite. But I do like the shape because it helps you not get crazy. Ooh, wow. Can get all the way to these inner corner lashes without getting it all over your lid. That's a nice change, huh? And then as we go back to the outer corner, it is grabbing kind of the lashes. All right, I see the genius of this brush design. All right, so one coat of mascara. Compared to the other side, I do feel like my lashes are going in the upward direction without the need of an eyelash curler. So that is basically kind of two coats through my lashes. You can see it got a little tiny bit right there, but otherwise my lids look pretty clear of mascara. All right, let's see if we can build a little more volume here. Let's go ahead and test this out on the lower lash line. Why not? Normally I would do my Thrive Cosmetics liquid lash extensions down here, but we'll just test this out today. All right, I know this isn't a mascara review video, but I actually am quite impressed from the first use. It's a slightly drier formula, at least in the sample size. I know sometimes when you get the full size, it can be a little more wet, or you're able to get more product on the brush, so that could be a possibility, but it did take a few layers. I definitely think that a mascara primer would probably help a little more with the volume, but I love the curl that it added to my lashes. I'll keep you posted. Okay, I'm just tapping off that gloss, and then I'm going to go around the edge of the lips with the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. Now, while that dries around the edge of the lips, I'm going to go back to the eyes, and in person, I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but in person, the red is just looking a little more pink than I want. So thinking about art class, what do? You're going to add a little bit of yellow. So I'm going to go into the Sunrise palette from Natasha Denona and just add a little smidge of yellow. You don't have to do this, but I just want to see if I can bring out a little more of the red in that shadow than the pink. And I think I do see a difference. So this is definitely going to, you know, if I kept going, I could turn that red shade into orange, which I don't want to do, but I do want it to look more red than pink. And then I'll go back with the red shade, which is Heart, and just add a little bit more. Yeah, that is much more the color I was looking for. All right, now we're in business. Okay, now going back to the lips, I have so many red lip options, and I've been kind of going back and forth of what I should use today. So, you know, with a red lip, most of the time I like to do a more matte finish because it is less prone to bleeding. I pulled out this liquid lipstick from Dose of Colors, and oh my goodness, is this like just full on true red. It is a beautiful color. Now to start off, I'm going to add a nude lip liner. This seems a little strange, but I'll explain as I go. This is the ColourPop one in BFF, and what this is going to do is just allow us to shape our lips and add a little, kind of going on the outside rim of my lip line. And then I'm going to fill in the entire lip. Now my philosophy on this is I have a difficult time throughout the day with red lipsticks changing color, like they become brighter and brighter as they wear away. And so by putting kind of a nude color of lip liner underneath, it'll help, I think, with the wear down. Let's just go all out bold, shall we? And then we'll tone it down. So I'm going to go in now with the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick, and this is the shade Date Night. Very appropriate, right? So I'm going to do a super thin layer of this. Now I'm going to clean up the edge of that now with a red liner. This is the Becca Ultimate Lip Definer in Confident. And I'm just going to use this to kind of just fine tune the edge of that red lipstick. All right, now this is a beautiful bold red lip look, but let's tone it down just a little bit. So I'm going to add a little touch of the Revlon Ultra HD Matte Mousse in the shade Spice. And I'm just putting a little bit on the center of the lip and then tapping it over the top of that. All right, so you can see that that just toned down the brightness of the red ever so slightly. It's still red. It's a really pretty color, but to me, it's a little more in my comfort zone when I'm wearing red lipstick. All right, and then the final step always when putting on a brighter red lip is to go back and see if you need a little more color on your cheeks. I'm gonna add just a little touch here with my blush brush, not adding any extra product, but just a little extra color there. And then I'll take my bronzer brush and just tap over the cheeks there. All right, so here's our finished look. And I have to say, I feel like that red eyeshadow doesn't look so scary. What do you think? I know probably when you first saw me show that at the beginning of this video, you were about ready to run for the hills. But I think when you tie in the cheek color and the lip color with that red eyeshadow, and then be sure to line your whole eyes with a black or a dark brown, I think that really helps make the red not look like you're sick. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, that it was fun for you. Maybe you picked up a few tips of how to wear red, whether it be red lipstick, red blush, or red eyeshadow. Thank you as always so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.